On the morning of June 8th, Israeli commandos made their way into Nuseirat, in central Gaza, to conduct a covert rescue mission.
Andrey!
The raid freed 4 hostages and was a critical moment in the now 10-month war, which Israel said it launched in part to rescue more than 200 people abducted by Hamas during their October 7th attack. Prior to this operation, only 3 had been freed by force. For Palestinians, the raid resulted in one of the deadliest days of the war, killing 274 people, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. The Israeli military said that there were fewer than 100 casualties. Neither entity differentiated between civilians and combatants. How did the raid, which had been meticulously planned for weeks, result in so many dead and wounded Palestinians? The Post reviewed and mapped more than 100 videos and photos, spoke to 19 witnesses, and analysed satellite imagery to reconstruct the raid. Hamas had chosen to hold the hostages in 2 apartment buildings in a densely populated area. Visual evidence shows that the Israeli military employed heavy airstrikes on this area minutes after the raid began, destroying 17 structures in at least 13 strikes. These strikes spanned a mile across Nuseirat and lasted for nearly 4 hours, including after the hostages had been safely evacuated. Verified videos and records from healthcare workers showed women and children among the casualties. Their injuries appeared to come from explosive blasts, according to a surgeon who worked on around 70 patients for 3 days straight. Preparation for the raid began weeks earlier, after Israeli intelligence, with US assistance, discovered that 4 hostages were being held in 2 apartments in a residential area of Nuseirat. Before the war, Nuseirat was the 3rd largest refugee camp in Gaza. In recent months, it had become crowded with even more displaced Palestinians. The Israel Defense Forces told the Post that the operation was proof that Hamas is hiding behind civilians and that only military objectives were targeted during the operation. In response to a request for comment, Ghazi Hamid, a senior Hamas official, asked, "Where can Hamas hide them when all of Gaza is only 2.5 inches wide?" In the first apartment was Noa Argamani, whose abduction on motorcycle from the Nova Music Festival had been seen around the world. In the second, 240 yards away, were 3 men, Shlomi Ziv, Almog, Meir and Andrey Kozlov, who had also been taken from the festival that day. On June 8th, the go order is given at 11 a.m, according to the Israeli military. They attack at midday to maximize surprise. At the building holding Noa Argamani, this video captures her rescue by commandos. They escape within minutes. But at the apartment holding the 3 men, things go differently. A white Mercedes van is spotted parked in front. Around 11 a.m, local resident Hussam al-Arouki is walking back from a bakery with his brother Issam. The soldiers shot and wounded Issam, who crawled into the ground floor of a building across the street. The soldiers then enter the building by climbing ladders to an upper floor. From the other side, a team of Yamam commandos, an elite counter-terrorism unit, storms the building. As they enter the building, they are fired upon by Hamas fighters, and a commander is fatally wounded. But they reach the hostages.
Andrey!
They rush the 3 men out of the rear of the building around 11:15. Then, the first airstrikes begin. Israeli officials said the strikes were called in to cover the evacuation, which was under attack by Hamas fighters.
You are stuck in the middle of a very hostile area, which immediately starts shooting from all over, and then this is the reason that the Air Force starts shooting in order to give them kind of a corridor, like a wall of fire.
At 11:28, Israeli aircraft pummel the area where the hostages escaped just 13 minutes earlier. 4 Hellfire missiles hit these buildings in quick succession.
Ya Allah! Ya Allah! Ya Allah!
Across the street, Nida al-Tarawi records this video at 11:36, 21 minutes after the commandos rushed the 3 hostages out. There is the sound of intense gunfire, and someone says Apache helicopters have arrived.
هي صوت الطيارات وهي ايش بتقصف فطلعنا من الشباك هيك لقينا الجو كله غبره.
In the space of around 20 minutes, there have been at least 8 strikes on Nuseirat. A video filmed here, half a mile from the site of the raid, shows the aftermath of a strike. At least 15 people are dead or severely wounded. Another large strike is recorded near a busy market, not far from the apartment where the hostages were being held. Because the raid is occurring during the day, the streets are full. This video shows a child among the wounded being carried away. At 11:55, the gunfire at the apartment has ended. Al-Tarawi captures a brief lull. The Mercedes van Israeli forces used to enter is still parked out front. It's in this period of relative quiet, 45 minutes after the commandos rescued the 3 men, that the vehicles carrying them stop here, several meters away from a house that belongs to Abdul Rauf Mikdad. Reserve Brigadier General Meir told the Post about the breakdown.
The car was hit. They abandoned the car. They went into a house. They waited for the forces to arrive.
While they wait for rescue, Noa Argamani's helicopter takes off near the US-built humanitarian pier, 3 miles north of Nuseirat. Shortly after noon, paratroopers arrive outside Mikdad's home to rescue the remaining 3 hostages. Radio communications included in the video capture the troops asking for air cover from drones and targeting enemy fighters. One soldier says he spotted a dirty, code for enemy, and to fire at him. Another references flowers, a code word for wounded soldiers, likely referring to the injured Yamam commander. They enter Mikdad's home. Mikdad told the Post that the paratroopers shot 2 of his grandsons, 12-year-old Yamen and 16-year-old Moamen. Both were unarmed. Yamen later died in the hospital. The shootings do not appear on camera, but as the paratroopers film their mission, their helmet camera captures evidence of 2 civilian vehicles parked outside Mikdad's home, a white goods truck and a white van. This video, filmed around 1 p.m, shows the paratrooper convoy driving back the way they came. They are now joined by the 2 vehicles, the white van and the white truck. In this video, the logo of Pril dishwashing soap is visible on the truck. Sometime after 1 p.m, Ziv, Jan and Kozlov are evacuated by helicopter from the same location as Argamani, near the humanitarian pier. More than an hour after all the hostages have been evacuated, at approximately 3:15 p.m, a strike lands near the house that held Noa Argamani. Video shows the massive plume of smoke. On the route the hostages used to escape from Nuseirat, vehicle tracks and dead bodies are visible. The area near the house that held the 3 men is decimated. An airstrike around the corner has killed Emad Lubad, his wife Sahar, and their son, Ahmed. Ahmed's body is on the ground next to the burning car.
طبعا ما حدا بسبب هذا الاشي قدر يوصل لأهلي في السيارة مما أدى إنه السيارة ظلت مولعة ومشتعلة لمدة 2 ساعتين كاملين. جثة أهلي ساحت بالعافية لقيت شيء بسيط إنه أقدر أدفنه وأعرف إنه هنا أهلي مدفونين في هذا المكان.
Videos of the aftermath of the raid show craters in the camp, burned cars and leveled buildings. The undercover Mercedes van used by forces to enter the hostage building has been destroyed, and both buildings that held the hostages have been leveled. In a 4-hour period, at least 13 strikes hit Nuseirat. They spanned more than a mile, and the last strike hit well after the last hostages left Gaza. Satellite imagery shows at least 17 structures destroyed in the vicinity of the operation. Videos show men, women, and children killed and wounded over the course of the day. Marwan Abu Nasser, the director of Al Awda Hospital, told the Post that his hospital recorded 450 injuries and 152 deaths. In a spreadsheet tracking surgeries at Nasser Hospital, shared by Sama Attar, an American orthopedic surgeon working with Doctors Without Borders, patients range in ages from 8 months to 59 years old. Attar told the Post that he saw numerous blast and crash injuries.
These to me look like either crush injuries from heavy buildings collapsing onto people, or flying cinder blocks or shrapnel, or just direct explosive blasts.
4 hours after Israeli forces reached the hostages and the first airstrikes began, scores of Palestinians lay dead. In Israel, celebrations begin for the rare rescue of hostages who had been held for 8 months.